Hi, okay, welcome everyone to the Connor and Joe show. Another week with your two hosts, Joe Gardner and Connor English. Connor, what was the win for this week?
Yeah, a couple big wins I would say for myself. We had a really good week, just spending some time in the office. Been really trying to hone in on getting books straight away and focusing, working on the business. So spent a couple full days working on my overhead cost projections for the year and that's something that I think not nearly enough people. We talked about it on the last episode. Not near enough people do it, and it's tough work to do. But a couple hours every day, and you definitely get much more comfortable in it. And yeah, I'd be lying if I said yet last night was an absolutely massive win for our family. Attending the Manitoba Beef Producers AGM, and we've
Yes.
been nominated for the TESSA Award, so the Environmental Stewardship Award, and yeah, we were awarded with that last night. So um,
Congratulations, well deserved.
thank you very much. No, it was yeah. I'm an emotional dude, and it I was getting choked up out there. I had a lot of thank yous I wanted to give out with the mic, and even now, I just it hits me, and I was stuttering up there, and I said a few thank yous, and then after I got done, I was like, darn it, I should have said more thank yous, but I was getting choked up, and it would have been bad. So yeah, I will say on here and everywhere else that I can, there's a great community of people that help transition and put forward some of these ideas that we've been implementing on our operation over the last number of years, and very special to be working with lots of people and peers, and I can't say thank you enough. So it was an honor to get that award out of Manitoba, and yeah, looking forward to the national event in August to mix and mingle with all the other recipients from across Canada and take a part in that event. So yeah,
So
huge win.
where are you going for that? You
Beautiful
got
Winnipeg.
Oh crap. It's
last
central for everyone else, I guess.
last year it was in Quebec City. So yeah, we're looking. We'll be the home reps for this year, I guess. But yeah, that'll be good. Kyla was just learning about the award a couple weeks ago, and I knew things were in Winnipeg this year for the Canadian Beef Industry Conference, and she said, "Oh, I was looking like where is the national thing if things went good?" And I was like, "Oh," and she's like, "I found it was in Winnipeg." I'm like, "Yep, you get to get on the road for 2.5 hours and make your way." So, yeah, but no, it'll be good.
Tropical in March. Or was it when is it? March?
August, so
Oh,
beautiful.
August. That's not too bad.
No, it'll be good. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Winnipeg's gorgeous that time of year.
yeah.
Well, my
What
wins
about
are
yourself?
I didn't win any awards this week, although my daughter slept 8 hours, which is as good as getting an award.
That is an
As
award, Joe.
well, you've got a little one at home too, so yeah. Well, we went through sleep regression, which they tell you it's bad, and it's worse than you think when it
Yeah,
happens. It
yeah.
sucked. So that was probably my big win, but I'm trying to get ready. I'm off to Alabama next week to John Haskell's conference. So we're talking farm bookkeeping, business management, and sell by. So I've been trying to get everything updated, kind of the lag from ranching for profit to now, just getting everything going, and I've been putting it off. So I've been diving into the numbers this past week, and then AI, I was telling you, has been quite helpful. I highly recommend if you guys are stuck or wondering how to get started, if you just give your numbers to AI and start getting feedback, you start getting ideas. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But no, things look. As the cattle market, I had to readjust some prices and some values on some classes that we had. Holy moly.
In a good way.
Really, really good. Yes, I was hoping to get a few more animals, which isn't going to happen now, which is honestly 100% fine. Some of the cows we brought in that were supposed to be March calvers are calving now. So I've got to enjoy a week of plus temperatures in February calving. And I don't know what all these winter calver guys are complaining about because it's
Yeah, yeah,
simple.
yeah, yeah.
and anyway, the cows, I'm in Alabama next week, and the cows are still going to be at home. They're not going to custom calving until I get back. So fingers crossed. That's the tough thing about leaving is what's going on at home. Well, we could have
Yeah.
chaos at home, but hopefully there's no cell service in Alabama.
Is the whole crew going to Alabama, Joe, or who's all
The,
heading down?
the whole crew, Melanie and Charlie. So fingers crossed. Infant on a plane. I
Yeah.
was a single guy that used to complain about that stuff. Now I'm just hoping everyone is very understanding.
I was very. We had an upset little one on the way home from Nashville last week, and I just felt horrible for that family because I was like, if anyone says a word, I'm gonna lose it on that person because I know what they're going through right now.
Oh yeah. I'm like I said to Melanie, I'm like traveling's never going to be the same now,
No.
is it? Because I'm like a week out, I've got anxiety, not about anything the course or anything like that, just like how Charlie's going to handle the plane ride.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm firmly in your camp now too, where if baby's crying on a plane, I'm like, just trust me, the parents are more stressed out than you are.
Yeah.
So no, I'm man, how much I look up to John Haskell and some of the things
Yeah.
that he's talking about. And fortunate, I my phone has been ringing off the hook the last week and a half since our pod. Well, we interviewed John, and I was on Ranchonomics. It's kind of funny. Half the guys want to call to say, extend their community. They want to talk sell buy or whatever with somebody that's doing it. And then half the guys want to call to argue with me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't really want to give up my free time to argue whether this is a good idea or not. I'm doing it on my farm, and that's the only thing I have to speak on.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Connor, we got and actually, to full honesty, I kind of screwed up the technical side of this podcast. So, we actually interviewed our guest already, which was
Yep.
pretty awesome conversation. A little teaser for what's coming next. But do you want to introduce Cyle?
Yeah, you betcha. So really, really happy I was able to meet Cyle Stewart down in Nashville at CattleCon last week, I guess it was, or 2 weeks. Yeah, last week, I guess. So we've got Cyle Stewart from Morris, Saskatchewan, coming on today. Very excited to have him on. Kyle's currently a part of the Canadian Young Leaders or Cattlemen's Young Leaders program, which is run through the CCA. So he's a mentee this year, and he's been working with Burke Teichert as his mentor, which is very cool. So I was able
One
to
of the
connect
best.
with Cyle down at CattleCon this week. Kyle's also a director with Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association as well, so very tied in with the industry and runs a ranching business in Morris area with his wife Erica and their two young girls and Erica's parents. So very excited to have Cyle on today, and yes, teaser for the episode. Definitely listen in. It was one of the best ones I think we've done, and very happy to be able to have Cyle on. So
Cyle Stewart is our guest today. Thanks a lot for being on, Cyle. What is your hot egg topic?
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My hot topic is producers need to realize the importance of investing in the most important asset they have, which is themselves, whether that's, taking care of your mental health, your physical health, your mental well being, your overall lifestyle. That's my hot topic.
So, give us a bit of a explanation, Kyle, of how you landed on this hot topic. It must come from personal experience from some standpoint.
Yeah, so I guess my initial realization that the importance of it was losing a friend to suicide, and then seeing how little resources there was for agriculture producers in that aspect, and then having gone through some stuff myself and my wife, we had some unforeseen circumstances in our life, and that really shone some light on the importance of it, and building resilience from it. But it takes a community to do that, and it takes educating yourself on how to do that efficiently and the best way possible.
I've one that has been pretty open about my mental health journey, and I was going to say, at least for me, I've struggled with this, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a producer out there that doesn't struggle with this at some point in their career. And the first step is just being open enough that, hey, I've got something going on, and talking about it is the first step. So yeah, I was I my father struggled with anxiety his entire life, still does to this day. He's one of the old boys though that he's going to wish it away. Next year's going to be better. Why? No idea, but it's going to be better, and he's going to worry less. And fortunately, I just had people in my life that were taking steps themselves. They weren't producers. But yeah, when I was in my mid 20s, if I didn't reach out for help, and I spoke to a therapist for some time about my anxiety, but where I wouldn't be farming today. I don't know where I would be if I didn't take that first step and actually reach out and ask for help and do what you're doing today, which is start having conversations and normalizing this, you know.
Absolutely. I don't know why, and especially in our industry, the ag industry, there is a stigma around getting help and admitting that you have challenges. We all have challenges. We all deal with it differently, but why we all, or a good percentage of us figure that we've got to fight it alone, or we're the only ones going through something. I mean, there's huge value in opening up about your own struggles and making it more, normalizing that as producers we have struggles, and there's a way to deal with them. And the more we can talk about it, the more peer support we can have. I think the better we all are for it.
For
I think
sure.
that's so awesome, Kyle. Yeah, it's I know myself this past fall, I got to the point and realization that I needed to make some changes in my life. Running on the hamster wheel, trying to work a full off farm job, try to pursue increases on the farm, and a very young family, and it got to a point I've been working with a mindset coach and a peer group here for the last about 3.5 months, and it's been life changing, I would say, for myself. Very, very happy guy, and surround myself with everything. Have a very hard time for saying no to things, which I've just come to understand that I do need to say no to things someday, because there is higher priorities that I need to focus on, that are the most important in life. And it was. I know the one question that I got asked, when I started working with this peer group was, "What's your goal in life?" And that might be a broad spectrum question, but personal or business or anything. And that question absolutely rocked my world. I didn't have an answer for it. I gave some tasks that all they were was tasks, things that I wanted to accomplish in the next month. And he asked me, he said, like, what's your goal? Like, those are some tasks. And I didn't have an answer. And when you don't have an answer to a question like that, it completely rocks you. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that, on what am I wanting to do. And probably the second goal, or the second question, I should say, that was very hard, and I still haven't answered it, is, what is your identity away from your occupation? and and putting aside being a dad and being a husband and being a farmer, what is your identity? And I still haven't answered that question. And I know that was something we talked about this past week in our peer group. And I'm super thankful for that group that I'm working with. They're a very open bunch that's very high achievers, very happy to be a part of them. They're very open to talking about things. And this question, I think really hit a lot of people on your identity side of things, and who do you want to be? And it's not something we think about very often. And so I spent the last couple of weeks, for sure, last couple of months, really trying to work on some of those things, think about it a little bit more, trying to work on mindset, and just getting the mindset in a better spot. Because before it was just go, 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 never slow down. And it'll get better with time. But if you don't stop and slow down, it's not going to get better, because it'll just keep piling more stuff on. So what are some things that you've done, Kyle, I guess, in your journey, to help invest in yourself, I guess? What are some things that you've done over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I just want to say before I answer that, good for you for taking a step that you did, Connor, to do something about it rather than just getting lower and lower. And so good on you for that. And glad to hear it's helping. And I know that was a big thing for me, was surrounding myself with like-minded people. That is, in my opinion, huge. That definitely helped me. Another big thing is my wife and I really, I followed my wife's direction on this, because she started it and I followed along, but really focusing on what your diet is. And I mean, it makes total sense. You don't expect your cows to perform at their optimum if you're not providing them with the right nutrition and energy and protein. So why are we any different? And you look at some of the stuff that we're shoving into our mouths these days as consumers, and no wonder why we have higher levels of chronic diseases, and mental health challenges too. I think, when I started eating better, I know that was a huge difference. It was a lot easier to feel good. Feel good, look good, do good, I always say. And so that was a big part of it too. And then being conscious of what we put in our environment. I mean, it's amazing when you start looking into what we surround ourselves with as far as synthetics or mass produced products. Look at the shampoo you use or the bar of soap you have, or what kind of cookware do you use? Use that Teflon non-stick stuff. And there's a really good movie on that with Mark Ruffalo, Dark Waters it's called. And that was an eye-opening movie for us. And we were already kind of on that path, but it solidified that the importance of looking at a lot of different what you're surrounding yourself with in your environment, and the influences it can have on you. And um, so that was a big part of what we do. My wife she's an amazing woman. She raises our kids. She has an off-farm job, and she does her best to make sure that she's making as much stuff as she can for us, whether it's her own bread or soap or laundry detergent or whatever. Just trying to keep that synthetic stuff out of our lives. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think that plays into your mental health. Mentally, if you think you're doing all you can for it, it's going to have a pretty outstanding effect on it. Those are a few things that I've tried to focus on. And another part of it is we're very fortunate in this industry that if we're set up to do it, we can do a lot as a family, and we can enjoy each other's company, and we can build that, educating the younger generation and the importance of what we're doing, and seeing them get the enjoyment out of it at such a young age, and taking interest in it. I mean, that's a huge reward mentally, I feel. And it drives you to, or it pushes you to keep going forward. And in their minds, they're always looking up to you, right? So you're wanting to improve, and just getting the satisfaction from that every day or every chance you get is important. And it's amazing the benefits of that.
For sure. You struck on a part that hit pretty close to home for me, Kyle. I was a sufferer of anxiety my entire life, and I don't even like to refer to it as suffering now. Anxiety is just a part of my decision-making process, and it's made me who I am today. And I'm not a bad guy, so I can't say that it's I'm suffering with it. But living in rural communities, like I'm a very social person, and anytime I ended up leaving the farm and doing anything, it came with booze, and I was terrible at saying no, and I struggled with anxiety, and which is fine when you're in your 20s and you can wake up and grind through it, and but by the time I got to my mid 30s, it life wasn't very much fun anymore. I was compounding my anxiety issue with alcohol, using it as a short-term relief from the anxiety I was feeling, and I was creating on the back end about twice as much. So it's just my personality. This is a tough thing to say, but I am an alcoholic, and I'm probably just going to live with that the rest of my life. But figuring out what's important, I mean, surrounding yourself. I had a very good friend that had a worse problem than I did, that quit drinking, and I got chatting with him. And without that one single conversation, I wouldn't have put down the bottle myself. I'm very fortunate. It's been 2 years I've been free of alcohol, and what that has done for my anxiety and my quality of life. My social life has hurt big time because of it, but my all in all thoughts and my focus and my presence with both my family, my business partner, my community, it's just gotten so much better. Being able to think clear, my thoughts, not the negative thoughts that my anxiety is just constantly barking in my ear all the time. It's still there. It's just quieter because I'm well rested and feeling good.
Thank you for saying that. That is something that is so difficult to talk about. But I know, spending so much time with you over the last couple of years, how much it has influenced how much you've grown, and being able to be in a setting, lots of social settings, and saying no, and looking for that 00, and
Too many double zeros.
and I know how much it's affected you. I've seen it firsthand. It's been amazing to watch, and people will and do look up to you for doing stuff like that. It's been very cool.
Well, I'm just a byproduct, like Kyle said off the top. It's a community. You know, if you didn't reach out, and if you don't think you have a problem, you're not going to change anything. And not just with alcohol specifically. I think in agriculture specifically, what we do to, because of the farm, you talk about an identity, Connor. So many of us, our identity is the farm, and it
Yeah.
was our dad's identity and our grandparents' identity. And as a response to the stress or whatever, at the cost of our family and our free time, we just work more. We
Yeah.
just put our nose down because we've been told, if you work hard and get some rain, this farming thing's going to work out. And I mean, we're just at a world in agriculture right now in 2025 that's not always going to be the case, and you're going to grind yourself into a pulp eventually.
Hmm. I I guess just to speak to that, it's been eye opening to think about this identity piece a little bit more, and trying to do a few things, form some new habits, so that getting into a spot where working on figuring out what your identity wants to be, because I've just like every farmer in Western Canada and the world, you can work yourself sunrise to sunset every single day, and you're never gonna. There's always more to do. You're never gonna. I know. I'm horrible for it. Oh, it's gonna get better in a month. We just got to get this done. Well, that keeps getting said time and time again, and it's just trying to ingrain into the thought of it is very healthy to be there, but when you're there, be very present. But it's very healthy to step away from it as well, and recharge and get ready and focus for the next work week or whatever it may be on your operation. And it is super hard to shut off. Oh, I'm not going to work this weekend. Well, guess what? I'm not going to work weekends anymore. I need to build the business that I can step away from it and recharge, and then get back to it and give her shit when I am there. But so healthy, and like you say, everyone, we can just put our nose down when times get tough to just work more and more and more. And at the end of the day, from what I've seen and experienced, nothing ends up getting better. So need to make a big change the opposite direction to try and see some benefits from happening. So
Well, and Kyle, I think a lot of the struggle with producers is financial. Um, and I guess I'm curious if you've taken steps on your operation to kind of get a better handle on finances or understand finances better. So I always say to my old man, I'm like, a goal without a plan is a wish. And if we can wish our finances were better, or we can make a plan and we can do that. So would you talk a little bit about the financial side and I guess some of the steps you've taken?
Yeah, so I like what you said there. An analogy I use is, every plane that leaves the runway knows where it's going to land before it leaves, and I think that's so important when you're figuring out what you want to do and how you're going to do it. You need a plan to get there, and that's something. The financial part of it is something that my wife Eric and I have tried to get a lot better at and prioritizing that more. She took ranching for profit a couple years back, and so we've been trying to implement those principles, and I mean that's been huge. To run it like a business first, and then the family quality comes with that, and rather than running a family business, it should be a business first family. So that's been a big focus on our part, and I'm not saying we're good at it, but we're definitely putting a lot of effort into it, and it gives you peace of mind. When you have a budget and you have your projections, you can make decisions based on numbers and not emotions. And I think that's something that we struggle with as producers, is making emotion-based decisions and not crunching the numbers properly. And I mean, talking with Connor when we were down south there for a week, I mean, Connor just blew my mind with his numbers and his figure, and it was inspiring to hear that. And it goes to what you're saying about leaving home and getting away. I was talking to John Juco yesterday. We had a really good chat about leaving the place, but what you're giving up when you leave. But you know, you get stale. John put it this way: you get stale when you stay home too long, and if you don't go out and go to conferences and take these opportunities, you don't have you don't meet people, and you don't have your paradigms challenged, and you can kind of get in a rut. And so I feel it's huge to get out and dedicate the time, which goes to investing in yourself. Yes, it costs you money to go to these things, and you lose opportunity at home. but what are you gaining when you do leave? And in mine and my wife's career in ranching, it's been a big part of our the way we operate is we're very involved in the industry and boards, and it's been the people we've met and the connections we've made and the management, challenge. It's our management style challenges we've had has been hugely important for us, and I can't say enough good things about leaving the place and like John said, not getting stale, staying at home too long because it's easy to stay home. It's easy
Yeah.
to stay in the same rut, and it's easy to, I think that's a weakness we have too as producers. I mean, if we have a problem, we want to fix it ourselves before we reach out or before we hire it out. And if you're talking about, mental health challenges, it's pretty easy to jump inside a bottle and say you're fixing it yourself without reaching help, or other means. So, it's huge to get off the place. And I'm not saying be gone 9 months of the year, but have a good balance and align it with what your goals are. You know, your management goals, your lifestyle goals, and you can figure it out pretty easy. I think once you sit down and have a plan and your goals. And to Connor's point of the identity, I wanted to ask you about this, Connor. If you um, just tell me if I understand this right. You were struggling with finding more of an identity than husband, father, and rancher. Is that right? So,
Yeah.
do you feel that that your identity needs to go beyond that, or how do you feel there?
Yeah, I guess myself just trying to look at it on a, and I did have another point about leaving that I wanted to touch on after this, but I guess just on the identity side of things, like I don't want to be married to the thought that like I need to be a farmer for my whole life. Like that's what I've picked to be. I absolutely love what I do, and I want to do it to the fullest of my potential, but I also want to be in a position at a time like have other interests or be interested in going traveling or something that my wife is very interested in wanting to do, if she's making sacrifices at sometimes in life and that sort of thing. So it is a tough question to really think about on the identity side of things, but it was interesting just when it was tied to like your occupation. And I think farmers, it is a different occupation than a lot of other careers, just because in more cases than not, it's a generational based, and it's, I know I'm a fifth generation farmer on my farm, on this exact same land base, which is a whole different can of worms, I guess, to go down on an identity side of things. But just being able to be open to think about what you're truly wanting to do with life. And there might be a time in my life right now that I'm very invested in being at the farm and being a dad and a husband, and I want to continue definitely lots of those things. But maybe there's a point in my life when I'm 60 years old, I want to be really, the farm might be in other hands. It would be amazing to have another generation that's there wholeheartedly, and I'm at another chapter in my life where I've got these big interests that I want to chase and do, and whether it's traveling or going to events or taking part in volunteer things, that sort of thing. I guess just being open-minded that I'm not just married to this career. I guess that's probably the biggest one. It was more the identity piece was more about your occupation more than anything. I think there's something about the identity being a husband and a father that I want to carry for the rest of my life, obviously. But on an occupation side of things, really just open my eyes for what's next, and have opportunity for a next generation to come in when it's their time, and be okay with being done and not controlling, I guess, on that side of things as well. But one thing I did want to talk on going away. That's been just even a difference for myself. Going away has been valuable for myself as well, but also just being at home, but being in a different spot at home. When I'm at home, generally speaking, prior to changing some of this mindset thing, it was I'm at home, but I'm outside working. I'm not at home and it's Wednesday on middle of January, and it's miserable cold out, and I'm sitting on the couch reading a book or hanging out with my wife and our 4.5-month-old. And I found myself in early January, since I am at home full time now, I didn't have anything to do for a few days. Like there was stuff to do, but it's miserable cold, and I was pacing around the house because I had never done that before. And I'm like, I have this anxiety feeling that I need to be working and doing something right now. but it was completely fine for me just to be at home. So being at home, I look at the going away part. I was going away technically, even though I was still at home, because I was doing something completely different than I was used to for many, many years past. So that was a big struggle for myself, even just being able to put myself in a different position when I am at home and not just flooding myself with work, but being able to be like, okay, I'm checked out of work right now. It's the middle of January. It's minus 35 in Manitoba. It is okay to be inside and have a coffee at 2 o'clock and read some part of a book and just do something a little bit different. And you don't need to be, when you're at home, just be working the whole time and making excuses that you can't be inside the house. So that's been another part for me on getting away. Actually, physically leaving the farm and the house is one thing, but when you are at home, being able to segregate things a little bit more has been very, very powerful too.
Well, Connor, I struggle with the same thing, and surely that must be like an epidemic in agriculture. Being inside the house, whether it's a nice day or not, it's just if I'm not doing something, what am I doing? You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And but Kyle, I wanted to touch on one of your points, and Connor and I took ranching for profit together, and so we're both fresh graduates and very excited about some of this stuff. But man, the thing that that drove home me from the goal standpoint the best at ranching for profit was when you're setting your goals, start with what you want your life to look like. And if that includes being on the farm, great. But if if your wife wants to get away for 4 weeks of the year, start with how do I make a really, really great life?
Yeah.
And then work backwards into, okay, now what does that business look like? Way too many of us, and I mean us as in me, is okay, we're going to create this really great business, and then at a future time, sometime, might be 5 years, might be 20 years, might be my entire career, life's going to get better because we built this business. And it's just ass backwards on the way for the human, or for the people that are there, the human beings that are there. I mean, I think you owe it to yourself to create a great life first, and then work backwards and figure out what the business looks like to make that great life possible.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't agree more. And we're very fortunate in our family, and I should mention too, Eric and I are able to leave to go to things because we ranch with their parents. They live a mile down the road, so they can look after stuff when we go. I don't know if we would be as apt to be going as much as we do if we didn't have that. So we're very thankful for that. But what when you bring up about what you want your life to look like, fortunately for my wife and our daughters, some of the things that we are very interested in also affect the ranch. One thing that we're very passionate about is working stock dogs and, using draft horses and saddle horses. And my daughters are 5 and 6 and they're starting to rodeo a bit. So all these things kind of add to the business. The value of having good dogs is huge on our place, and the how good it is for our mental health to use the draft horses. When we're all out as a family on the sleigh feeding, there's not a tractor going, and it's the most peaceful thing. And we're all out there as a family, and we're still accomplishing chores that day. And that was a goal Eric and I had for a number of years, was to have a team, and we were finally able to go out and purchase one this summer, and we've been using them as much as we can, and that's been awesome. And another thing, like the girls are rodeoing a little bit, that helps with moving cattle. They're getting more comfortable on their horses, and they're the same thing. If we go to a rodeo theirs on the weekend, we're still all together as a family. We're still involved in something agriculture related, and so for us, it's pretty simple, and it's pretty rewarding to have these things all combined and still meet our goals as how we want to spend our family time and how we want our ranch to look. Um, it's interesting, the different conferences you go to, they talk about AI being artificial intelligence and how to use that better on your operation. And call me old school or whatever, but I find it interesting how maybe we don't always need that, and be cautious about how much we are implementing on our place. These draft horses are a great idea. Um, I was they I can fix most of something that's going to break on the wagon or the harness or something, and we don't know fuel's burnt doing it, and doing chores, and it's obviously old technology, right? And still gets the job done. And it simplifies life a little bit, you know. We're not relying on tires holding air or tractors working or whatever. We can get everything
Tractors to start at -40.
right. Yeah. I mean, it definitely tests your toughness when it's -30 out and the wind's blowing and you're out there with no windshield. But um, it's to answer your question, we're very fortunate in our interests and what we can do as a family, and it all relates back to the ranch, and so it's kind of all included there.
Yeah. Connor, you got anything else left for Kyle before I summarize?
Yeah, I guess I would just tie on to that what Kyle said on just looking at some things that you can do on your operation that bring the family together and bring what you're really interested in and what you really want to spend time with, and whether that be in Kyle's situation taking the team of horses out to feed some cows with a sleigh. And I know we like to hop on a gator and take the kids out for a ride to check the cows in the evening in the summertime, and when the weather's nice in the winter, we've done it a few times now. We go for our cows are about a mile and a bit away from the yard, and hook the sleigh up with some mineral in the behind me, and I'm pulling that, and Kyla's got a kid. She's wearing a kid, and one's in the sleigh, and we go head out for the mile walk, and beautiful day, just enjoying it. And it would have been a heck of a lot quicker for me to buzz out there on a quad and do what I had to do to check the cows, but oh boy, was that ever worth it. And it's just like that's part of the industry and part of the reason in this sector that is so valuable is finding ways to do it, and just acknowledging, hey, I can do this job in a half an hour, but what if I did it in an hour and a half, and we were able to do things a little bit differently, and like you say, slow down a little bit and enjoy it more. And it's just coming to realization how much joy that brings everyone, and it sure feels good to do it. So yeah.
Well, and Kyle, we want to thank you. I mean, this isn't this is probably the toughest, the biggest issue and the toughest thing to talk about in agriculture. It's just all of us would rather just put our nose down, work, and snicker at the neighbors about the crazy shit they're doing, you know. But to open up the conversation, I know just because I've opened up, or pretty honest about it. I try to be pretty honest about my relationship with my anxiety, and you know, some of the people you'd never expect that are really, really struggling. It's a problem everywhere. So the first step is to just have conversations like this, and if you need help, uh, there's lots of people out there that are not going to snicker or you got nothing to feel ashamed about. We're all in this together, and it's a tough industry. So I appreciate you coming on and starting with that topic. It was hopefully it resonates with some people out there.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having the opportunity to talk about it. And I just wanted to say, if you know, there are producers out there who are, you know, struggling, and don't be afraid to reach out not only to your peers but also to a counselor or get the help you need, because you're not the only one. You are not the first one, and you know, feel comfortable in that.
I'll be vulnerable one more time. It was in my mid 20s. If talking to a therapist was the greatest thing that ever happened to my life. My life trajectory changed after I understood a little bit better how I made decisions and why my anxiety was bothering me and stuff. So it's I know it's expensive and time consuming, and it can be tough. But boy, if you're struggling with it, it doesn't have to be that way, and there's people out there to help you. So I at least for me, I couldn't recommend it highly enough.
If I
There's a
could,
lot of things that we spend money on in this world, and if you're investing in yourself, it's the best money you've ever spent. You bar none. You won't regret it at all, ever.
if I could throw you a plug in there, in Saskatchewan, we started a network called the Saskag Matters Mental Health Network, and it provides agriculture producers with 6 free hours of counseling by agriculture or a counselor with an agriculture background. So if anyone in Saskatchewan, a producer looking for help, go on to the website Saskag Matters, and you can get counseling there.
And I'm not sure exactly how to do this, but Keegan does. We will put a link below this video if anyone wants to click on. So thanks, Keegan, also. Well, really appreciate the conversation, Kyle. Thanks a lot for coming on. And yeah, the Connor and Joe show will continue on, so we'll have you back on again sometime.
Really appreciate it.